Once again, coming to you live inside the group, the Successful Women Entrepreneurs Group. And I'm fortunate enough to be given this opportunity. And so, welcome, welcome, welcome. Today, we are going to be talking about prioritization and time management. Heading into the holidays, things can get overwhelming. We can get stressed out. We can get triggered really fast. So I thought, since we're only a few weeks away from the American Thanksgiving and the chaos is going to ensue, that this would be a perfect opportunity for us to just kind of go over what prioritization and some time management tips might be for you. And as we move along, if you've got your own ideas, your own suggestions, we'd love to hear them. Challenges, struggles with time management or decision making or prioritization, please post them so we can help you. Okay. Um, my name is Karen Kleinwort, and I am your host for this next 30 minutes for this live training. And I am a small business coach. I work with women-owned businesses and startups. And I've been doing this for just over 18 years. I bring a unique perspective with the coaching industry. You might consider me a pioneer. 18 and a half, 19 years ago, people weren't doing holistic. They really didn't know what that meant. I do Reiki. I'm a Reiki master teacher, and I do cranial sacral. So I'm a cranial sacral therapist, and I integrate those in with my coaching sessions. So we really do keep that mind, body, and spirit front and center when we are working together to make sure that the decisions you're making, the strategies you're looking at are really going to stick, and they're going to be able to be long lasting, where you're not going to have to come back and revisit. So that's who I am as a business coach. And this afternoon, actually, depending on where you are, we're going to be focusing on the 4 P's of time management and prioritization. And prioritizing can seem simple for some. Time management, some people get it right off the bat and they're really good at juggling 1,001 things, but not everybody. And not always. So the 4 P's, what are they? So the first one is planning. Second one is prioritization. Third one is pacing. And the fourth one is performance. And we're going to kind of walk through those four today, kind of give you an idea what they look like, what that means, and how to implement, plus some strategies. I am here. Please ask questions as we go along. If you are watching the replay, and you have questions, please drop them in the comments, and hopefully Facebook will notify me and I can respond to those. If you do drop a question during the replay and I don't respond timely, please reach out to me so I can support you. Okay, let's get started. If we think of our own schedule, our own day-to-day life, I don't know how many of you are like me. I've got 2 teenagers. I've got a 4-legged, creature, so husband, I kind of manage it with family. There's a lot going on, and I can get overwhelmed really fast if I don't implement or I don't plan and use certain strategies. So if you were to rate yourself, looking at today, maybe yesterday, depending upon what time it is for you, where do you think you are with managing your time on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 meaning it's all chaos going on and you're not quite sure what's next and what's coming up. Or, yeah, you're a solid 9, 10. Like, I've got a schedule, I stick to it. I know exactly what's coming. I know what I need to do. I know where I need to focus my attention, and I can handle the disruptions. Where are you in that spectrum? Are you closer to the 1, the chaos, the unknown, or are you closer to the 9 or 10, or do you fall somewhere in the middle? Where are you guys? When we're thinking of startup businesses, most of you are going to likely fall between the 1 and the 5, only because, well, you're new and you are still discovering all of the hats you're going to wear. You're still learning what your business needs and what are the obligations and how does that impact everything else going on in your life. And it's okay. I don't want you to feel guilty around not having a handle on your time or understanding what's a priority. It's a learning curve. And experience is going to give you that, right? If you're an established business, you might be on the upper end because you've yeah, I've done this. I've been around the sun a few times with my business. I kind of know what's coming. I know my ebb and flow within my business when I'm really busy or when I'm really slow. And I know how to manage that. So when you're thinking of that, even if you are an established business and you're not very good at time management, or life has thrown you a few curveballs and you're going, I don't know how to integrate this. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to reallocate time. I'm too overwhelmed. I'm giving you permission right now to take a breath and know you're not alone. This is a struggle for so many people, which is why I wanted to focus on it. And the first one of those 4 P's is planning. And some of you may have heard the saying where failing to plan is planning to fail. And it is true, especially in business. Now, that doesn't mean that your plans have to be rock solid and firm and that's it. Like this is done and there's no adjustments. Planning means you're going to set some clear goals. You're going to identify, where do I want to be in 6 months, in 12 months, or 18 months? Right? So planning around clear goals. What are the specifics? Some of you have heard of the acronym SMART, right? So S, your goal is specific. M, it's measurable. A, it's achievable or attainable, depending, right? R, realistic. And T, timely. So when you're setting those goals, relying on that acronym is really helpful because you can kind of filter the goal through those 5 steps. And if it doesn't meet one of them, then you're really going to want to stop and reconsider the goal. Do you need to adjust it? Do you need to refine it? Do you need to maybe start all over again? Right? So using that acronym is super important and is very helpful. Especially you want to plan to succeed, right? You want to set yourself up for success. And that takes planning, right? When you have your goals, that's the first step. You find your goal and you say, okay, I want to have, let's say, 10 new clients by the end of the first quarter of 2025. We're in the middle of November. The first quarter is the end of March. So now you're looking at 4.5 months and you want 10 new clients. Well, that goal, if we filter it through, is pretty specific, right? 10 clients. Measurable, absolutely, because you're going to know if you've achieved it or not because you've set the goal at 10. Is it realistic? Achievable? Yeah, based on what you might be doing. If you have a great marketing strategy, a great communication approach, nurturing those, if you have a good solid pipeline coming in. So only you'll be able to know, is it truly achievable or realistic? Timely? Absolutely, because you've set the time frame, right? You've set it for the end of the first quarter of 2025. So it fits through that SMART goal structure. Wonderful. So now we know our goal is going to be 10 new clients by the end of March 2025. What are the steps? So the next step is, what are the steps? Identifying the steps and the milestones that you need to take or follow, achieve along the way in order to be able to hit the goal by the end of March. So some of those steps, some of those milestones are looking at, where is your pipeline at the beginning and how does it filter through? And each one of those is a step. So milestone or a step. We need to have 3 new clients by the end of December. We need to have 6 new clients by the end of February. Right? So you're going to identify, what are those milestones? What are you going to do to get there? That's the first one, right? That's the planning stage. Because when we have a plan, what happens to our stress? It goes down. Our productivity goes up. Why? Well, because we have an idea of what we need to do, right? And when we're planning, we're looking at our schedules on a daily basis, weekly, monthly, quarterly. You want to be able to say, today I'm going to do X, Y, and Z to allow me to reach those milestones, to achieve and complete the steps I need to do in order to reach that goal. So with that, we have a plan in place. We've identified what we need to do and the timeline associated with it so we can reach that. That allows us to flow right into the prioritization, right? That's the second P for this topic today, right? So prioritization. What order are you going to do those tasks on your daily schedule, your weekly schedule? What's important? How are you going to know which tasks are more important than another? Because we want to do the high priority tasks first, right? So you're going to priority one, so P1, P2, P3, until you've identified all of the tasks today on your list of what's really important. Now, some people will use a method like the Eisenhower matrix, right? So it's like 4 quadrants. And the first quadrant is that urgent, important section. And then the next one is important, but not urgent. And then the third one is not important, but urgent. And the fourth one is not important and not urgent. So with that, you're going to take your list today and you're going to put them in the appropriate quadrant. Because you're going to say, okay, this one I need to get done today. It's like dead stop. Nothing else happens unless this gets done. It is that important, right? And we can use filing our taxes as a priority. Here in the States, April 15th. April 15th, if you haven't filed your taxes, guess what? Boom, that's a priority. It happens today, right? So that's the kind of thing, like when you have a hard deadline on certain tasks, they go in that first quadrant. You know for sure they're a priority one. You want to get those done. So high priority first, and then working through the priority list of what's next. The things you want to be careful of when you're looking at the prioritization is, and I will include myself in this, is that not important, non-urgent quadrant. Those are our time wasters. Those are the things like doom scrolling on TikTok or Instagram, getting lost in Facebook, kind of doing the social part of the social media. Those are the ones you want to watch. Because I don't know, if you're like me, sometimes I'll say to myself, oh, I'm doing market research, right? I'm like looking at what everybody else is doing. What are the trends? What are the hashtags I need to be using, right? And I can kind of convince myself that it's okay to spend an extra few minutes when really I don't need to. So you're always wanting to take a look at, what am I doing with my time? How am I spending it? Am I being just busy? Or am I productive? And how do I make the switch? Right? The busy work is those time wasters where you're just kind of doom scrolling, right? And then the productivity is when you've accomplished and completed the task. You can give yourself a pat on the back and say, I did it. I can cross that off the list. So some of you, like I know I have those days where I just can't focus. Like I don't know, like I'm there, but I'm really not there. And I'm working through my list, trying to get things done, but I'm not 100% focused. And that's when I realize I'm a busy person and not a productive person. If you're that way, what I end up doing is I do some time blocking. So I'll set a timer for like 25 minutes and I'll like uber focus for 25 minutes and then I'll take a break for 5 or 10 minutes doing something that's just busy work. And then I'll refocus and then I'll do busy work. And I'll go back and forth. That way I give myself a break where I'm not like go, 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 go all day long. Because what happens when you do that? You've heard the term before. Like when you go at 100% without a break, without taking a pause, what happens? You burn out. So the way to avoid burnout or reduce your capability of getting overwhelmed and unproductive is making sure that you put in breaks, that you give yourself permission to stop, right? So there's this thought process, when we're working on a computer, right? We're really short-sighted. We're looking really close. So if you give yourself permission every 20 minutes, you look up for 20 seconds and you're looking 20 feet or further away. So that's like the 20-20-20 rule. Give your eyes a rest. If you're on the computer all the time or your cell phone or some piece of technology, every 20 minutes, give yourself a break for 20 seconds and look away. That will be long enough for the break, but not to lose focus. And that's going to be the balancing act for you. Those tricks and tips right there regarding the Eisenhower matrix or the 20-20-20 or the interval working break, those may work for you or they may not. There are a ton of different types of time manageable tools that you can use and approaches. And I'll drop a link when we're done for a time management plan workbook I have for you guys. So you can create your own plan. What does that look and feel like for yourself? So you can really start to manage your time instead of time managing you, because that's the flip side, right? If we don't get a hold of this planning piece and understanding the prioritization. Once we have an idea of what we need to do, right? We know what's high priority, what isn't, how we're going to approach the day. We go into the third, which is pacing. And this is managing our workload. And it really feeds into that interval approach, right? Focus for a certain amount of time, take a break for a certain amount of time. You want to make sure that your pace is comfortable. And here's a reminder. What your pace is today may not be the pace that works tomorrow. Or what worked yesterday may not work today. Give yourself permission if you realize that what you're doing isn't working, where you're still distracted, or you're still feeling overwhelmed, or you're just exhausted because you just don't know what's next. Give yourself permission to take a step back and take a look at what you're doing and how you're doing it and see if you can do it differently. The pacing is going to be critical for that burnout because burnout comes from having too much stress. And when we have too much stress, where's our productivity go? Right? Stress goes up, productivity goes down. You want to keep the stress low so your productivity can go up. With pacing, what might be some of your challenges when it comes to looking at your schedule and coming up with what's going to work as far as interval or time blocking? What do you think might be some roadblocks for you? You want to think of what are your distractions? What is around you that's distracting, that could take your focus away from what you're trying to do? For me, as I was mentioning, right? Like I have a 4-legged doorbell. She wants to go in and out consistently. This is when I wish we had a doggy door so she could do it herself. But I have to get up and let her out. And then 2 seconds later, she wants back in. Distraction. If you work from home, like I do, like many of us do, what are some other distractions? Oh, the dishes in the sink. Laundry. Oh, I didn't get that cleaned up. Oh, the kids left that big mess. Right? Oh, the windows, I can't look out. They're so dirty. I need to wash them. Right? You're going to be distracted by things that are around you. So you need to have an understanding about how to eliminate the distractions. So think about that. For me, the distractions really were just like mess, kid stuff, right? 2 teenagers, there's stuff everywhere. And it's like, I can't even focus. Like I'm looking and I see it out of the side of my purview, right? And I'm like, nah, I can't do it. So I had to move where I work. I moved my desk. So then that way I don't see it. I kind of have this clean space where when I'm here, I can focus. The other thing for me is I really need to see outside. I'm an outdoors person. I like to be outside. I like to have nature around. And indoor plants are great, but they just weren't cutting it for me. So the space where I moved my desk to, I now have a window. So I get that natural light. I get that, the 20-20-20 rule. Every 20 minutes, I can look outside and I can see the birds, I can see the squirrels or whatever's going on out there because it's not a distraction. It's just quiet background. But I'm more at peace. I'm not as stressed because I'm in an environment that is supportive for me to be focused and productive. So when you're thinking of pacing, what does your workload look like? You need to make sure that you also address whatever potential distractions might happen or that might come up and be somewhat ready for them. Now, you can't plan for all distractions, right? So it was about 3 months ago. So side note, right? This is about kind of the distraction piece and prioritization and pacing. But like every Tuesday in my other group, I go live and I do a live training. It's a bit more in depth than what we do here. And I was in the middle of the training and it was great. And then all of a sudden, my husband walked in from work at noon. This was not normal. He doesn't come home in the middle of the day. He works 30 minutes away. So what do you think happened in the middle of me doing a live training? I was distracted. And I thought I could keep shifting gears and staying focused. And then I realized it was so distracting because it was out of character for him to do this, that I had to stop the live training in the middle of it. And I apologized and I jumped off. Well, you know what it was? Because I thought it was a crisis, right? When somebody is out of character and they come home out of character, you're worried, which is why it was so distracting. It was a dentist appointment. He had a dentist appointment, but he forgot to tell me. So my distraction didn't really need to be a distraction, but it did. So then, fortunately, everybody in my group is so supportive that they understood. And I jumped back on and we kind of finished the training. But this is what I'm saying. When we're talking about pacing or managing our workload or managing our schedules, we need it to be flexible, right? When we're planning our day, we have to add in flexibility for the unknown. You have to be able to adjust on the fly if and when necessary. Now, is that distraction going to happen again? Hopefully not, right? Hopefully my husband and I are on the same page regarding his dental appointments now. So for you, what are the distractions or anything that could be unexpected? When you're figuring out your daily plan, make sure you're including something that might be unexpected. Not all the time, but it might happen and it will happen, right? So your pacing is really about staying consistent. Knowing you're going to consistently show up, you're consistently going to be doing some sort of work that is productive and not just busy. Because through consistency, the repetition, we're able to almost forecast how our time unfolds and when is the time that we're most productive. Do you know when you're most productive? Are you a morning person where you kind of get up and you're super early and you're just like, go, I can do this. And then by midday, you're like, I need a break. Or are you a late starter where you kind of get going around 10 or 11 in the morning? Or are you most productive in the afternoon or the evening? Think about that as well. When you're planning and you're figuring out what is the priority for the day, if that task requires the absolute best of you, the absolute best, where you need to be 100% on, 100% focused, zero distractions, just you're laser focused on it. You want to do the most important task, that high priority task, at that time frame. And this is why when we talk about schedules and the flexibility, we're talking somewhat generalized terms. Because if you're super busy in the morning, but you're not really productive. You don't want to do that high priority task during that time period. You want to wait until you're at your best. So as you're planning your day, make sure you allow for that you might have to do a priority task, that highest one, a little bit later so you can give it your all. Because that leads you into the fourth P, right? Performance, where we're always wanting to evaluate how we're doing. Are we on track to meet our goals? Are we meeting those daily steps? Are we going to achieve the milestones that are going to get us to that end goal? So at the end of the day, did we get all of our tasks done today? If we didn't, what didn't we get done? Can we do it tomorrow, or does that have to be pushed to the next day or next week? At the end of the week, did we get everything done this week that we needed to get done? If we didn't, why not? Right? We want to analyze it. We want to get an idea of why we aren't achieving or finishing certain tasks. Because that piece of knowledge is going to help you plan better in the future. So with that, you are, right, analyzing the day, the week, the month, and you're going to then adopt and adapt. So you're going to adapt the schedule, adapt your goals, your milestones based on all this information you're learning. So that way you can stay on track to meet the goal of those 10 clients by the end of March, right? So your performance is really tied into that pacing. Because if you're working too hard, too fast, are you going to perform really well? Or are you going to give semi-quasi good work? Think about that. So with that, those are the 4 P's. So we're talking prioritization and time management. We really want to be in control of our time instead of time being in control of us. We want to be proactive instead of reactive. And that means we want to be planning. We want to have a handle on what's our priorities and how we're prioritizing our tasks. We want to understand and create a pace that's comfortable, but yet we're still being productive. Because we ultimately want to be performing. We want to know that at the end of the day, we gave our best to everything because we empowered ourselves to take those breaks, to take a step back, to review, to do the planning. Because remember, failing to plan is planning to fail. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to fail. I want to succeed, and I want to have every single one of you succeed. So with this, what's going to be your plan? What's a goal you have for 2025 that you would love to put in place where you can use these 4 P's, planning, prioritization, pacing, and performance to support your success? I'd love to hear it in the comments. If you're watching the replay, please comment a goal so we can support you. That's what I have for today. That's our prioritization and time management introductory training, right? I'm stumbling over my words, but that's okay. So, because that's a tongue twister. Try and say that 10 times fast. So, prioritization, time management. That's what we have. I thank you all for, if you were here, thank you. If you're watching the replay, thank you. Reach out if you have any questions or if you need support regarding your goal setting and planning and understanding your time management and being able to find clarity around what's a priority for you and how to determine that. I'm here to support you. Thank you. I appreciate all of you. And you can find more about me at getbizsavvy.com and the Women's Business Resource Community. We'd love to have you as one of our neighbors inside the village. You guys have an amazing day, and I thank you.